The first chapter for class 10 in biology is life processes. The basic criteria to say whether the organism is live is movement. And it is not like when organisms don't move, they are dead. There are also certain invisible molecular movements in cells and tissues which are needed for all life processes. Life processes are the basic processes in living organisms which are necessary for maintaining their life. They are nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion. The two types of nutrition are autotrophs, heterotrophs. Autotrophs are the organisms which prepare their own food, and heterotrophs are the organisms which depend on other organisms for getting their food. Heterotrophs are further classified as saprophytic nutrition, parasitic, and holozoic. Autotrophic nutrition in green plants is done by a process called photosynthesis, in which plants prepare food using carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. So this is the equation which is involved in photosynthesis, and the three steps are absorption of sunlight energy by chlorophyll, the conversion of the light energy into chemical energy, and reduction of carbon dioxide to form carbohydrates. Chlorophyll are the green pigments present in the leaf, and stomata the tiny pores to which the gaseous exchange takes place. Nutrition in animals, in amoeba, it's a heterotrophic nutrition. So when you look at the picture, you can see the amoeba approaching the food particle. The food particle is engulfed by means of pseudopodia, the finger-like projection. And when the food enters inside the body of the amoeba, it is surrounded by food vacuole. The food vacuole contains digestive enzymes which will digest the food. And so the undigested food gets eliminated by rupturing of the cell membrane. And in nutrition in paramecium, the food is brought by the movement of cilia through the small opening. Nutrition in human beings. It consists of an alimentary canal which starts from mouth till anus and also involves the digestive glands to carry out the process of nutrition. The process involved in human digestion. So the digestion begins in mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum. So you can look what are the process involved in every part of the alimentary canal and what are the digestive glands involved. The second life process is respiration. So it's a process in which the food gets oxidized in the presence of oxygen to release energy. So you can see the energy will be in the form of ATP and how ATP is formed. The two types of respiration are aerobic respiration, which takes place in the presence of oxygen, and anaerobic respiration, which takes place in the absence of oxygen. So you can look at the difference between aerobic and anaerobic. And there are three ways how glucose gets broken down in the presence of oxygen, where the end products are carbon dioxide, water, and energy. And in the absence of oxygen, the end products are ethanol, carbon dioxide, energy. And sometimes there is a lack of oxygen in the muscle cells where they release lactic acid and energy. And this is the result of getting muscular cramps when we do strenuous activities. The human respiratory system involves the following parts. And when air enters through the nostrils, it passes via the pharynx, larynx, trachea, the windpipe, and it opens into bronchi and bronchioles, finally reach the air sac alveoli, where exchange of gases takes place. This alveoli is richly supplied with blood vessels, and also this increases surface area for the gases to get exchanged. The next process is transportation. In animals, it is needed to transport the substances from one place to another, whether it can be useful as well as the waste substances which has to be excreted. And the human circulatory system, which is involved in the transportation, consists of heart, blood vessels, and blood. Now we will see about the double circulation taking place in human heart. So the oxygenated blood from the lungs enter the left atrium through the pulmonary vein. From the left atrium, it enters into the left ventricle by contraction and relaxation of the muscles. And from left ventricle, it is taken via the aorta to all parts of the body. And once the cells utilize these oxygenated blood, they release the deoxygenated blood, which is collected to by the superior and the inferior vena cava, and it enters into the right atrium. And from right atrium, the blood enters, the deoxygenated blood enters the right ventricle, and from the right ventricle, it is taken via the pulmonary artery to the lungs for reoxygenation purpose. Thus, the blood comes or flows into the heart twice in one cycle, which is known as double circulation. The heart in mammals and birds are four-chambered because they should not allow the mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. The efficient supply of oxygen is always needed for them to provide energy to maintain the body temperature. Whereas in case of amphibians and reptiles, they have three-chambered, and fish they are only two-chambered, where mixing is allowed possible because they don't require this efficient supply of oxygen to maintain the body temperature. They depend on the environment to keep their body temperature to be maintained. Transportation in plants require the conducting tissues xylem and phloem, and you can see how water enters to xylem by transpirational pull, and also phloem involving the osmotic pressure, which requires the ATP molecules the energy to transport the food by suction pressure. Excretion is another important life process in organisms where the unwanted waste products are excreted out. Excretion in human beings involves a excretory system. Kidney is the important excretory organ which has millions of filtering units called nephron. And in the nephron only the blood gets purified or the nitrogenous waste gets removed, and certain useful products like amino acids, glucose, salts and water are getting reabsorbed, and the eliminated waste is sent to ureter, and from ureter it will reach the urinary bladder where it gets stored and the urine is released out. So you can look at the process of how nephron filters the waste or removes the waste from the blood. Next, we can look at how plants also excrete the waste. This we had a glance about the important concepts in the process, life processes.